Are your guildmates asking for help to test their defenses? Are you not sure how to help? Are you like, maybe this is right, maybe not, looks good? Well, today you're in luck, because today I'm going to be covering my checklist for testing guildmates' defenses, brought to you by Omnikai's Forge, where subscribers can suggest their ideas and I'll bring them to life. So as we know, war doesn't let us test our own defenses, so we have to rely on each other. And we need to know what to look for and the fundamentals of good team building. That way, we can set ourselves up for GVG success. Before we start picking apart teams, I'm going to show you my 3 basic tests that I always like to run, and that's going to be flyers. Then it's going to be like the swarm team, right, with the dogs and necromancers, and then we'll do like mages, archers, and granite cards. Performing these basic tests allows me to see how a team is set up. Is it built well? Does it have the proper units? Can one unit easily get by this team? Like, can someone just fly right over your defense? If I just send mages in, it's gonna boom, one shot everybody. What about dogs? If I send 2 dogs out, they just gonna run through? These are some of the check boxes we want to check off. And as you're testing, if you see any of your guildmates with these type of issues, then you just need to let them know, and that way it can be corrected before war starts. Like right now, we're gonna go through test 1. It's gonna be the flyers test to see if there's any weaknesses that are easy to exploit for air units. I'm not necessarily looking to beat this defense, but I want to check if it's well built and at least able to handle anything flying above the battle, right? Now, when you're performing these tests, there's always room for flexibility. Feel free to use other units, swap things around, and deploy them as you see fit. It kind of depends on what you want to test individually. However, I'm sharing my tests with you. Each test I'll run through, so that way you can either replicate it or just use it as a base until you know how and what you're looking for when you're testing defenses. I like to do the flyers because most times people just kind of forget about them and they have all ground units, and then one flyer just flies over a whole defense. I've seen it multiple times, right? Now we're going to start on the swarm team, and instead of dogs, you could also swap out, use the spiders and stuff. Like, there's various variations, like I was saying. And I'm not going to handhold everybody, like going through like how I place and how I drop my units. That's something that you're going to have to figure out in time and like with different timings. But I do like to do swarm teams because sometimes if you just have one tank, you can probably swarm that team, right? Overwhelm it. And having Olog right here, like if you can see, he's kind of too far down. His teammates can't help him out. And Olog, yes, he'll hold everyone here, but this lets me build up an endless swarm for the most part. All right, even though we're not necessarily running through defenses and like breaking them apart yet, this is a good time to segue into my 3 main points. So 1, units. What type of units are you bringing along? Do you have a tank? Do you have a healer? Do you have a fighter? Do you have more DPS units? Or are you gonna rock all ground units and all platform units, right? Because if that's the case, you know, that's kind of weird, right? Unless you have key units in a specific strategy, then that's probably not going to work. So at a quick glance, what you want to see, a tank, a healer, and a DPS unit. After that, look for a crowd control unit, and then you can either go to another DPS unit or another fighter or another tank. All right, time for the final test. This is going to be like the range unit test. Garnet guards, mages, archers, all that good stuff. However, point 2, what I was saying, is going to be your positioning. Are units too close together? Are they clunky? Do they just get blasted by mages? Or are they too far apart? They can't help each other. There's no assistance, right? And for the final checkbox, you always want to hit, are you giving up free wins? We don't give nothing away for free. One unit shouldn't be able to fly over your defense. I'm just saying, right? Even if you're not super excited about GVG, you always want to mitigate the damage. So always say something if you see some of these issues for your teammates, and especially if you're a vice leader or a leader, that's kind of your job, right? And if you don't know what kind of recommendation to give, at least you said something and they can change it or at least try something else. Now that we covered all the tests, all 3 basic tests, we'll start picking apart defenses. Starting with the defense that we was just testing with, we can break it down into those 3 check boxes that you want to hit. Units, does he have the proper units? Yes, that's a pass. Are they positioned correctly? No, that's a fail. So right there off the bat, we can already stop there. They're too far spaced apart. Olag holds everyone there. You can build up a swarm, or you can just kill Olag and then run through. Kratos and Alistair, they're not able to provide any type of DPS damage, and Valk can't hit either until they pass Olag. So If they're too far spaced apart, that's an issue. However, if they're too clunked together, that's another issue. Like, we'll go ahead and look at this team right here. You can already tell that they're too close together, and his platform units will be in range of mages. So we'll go ahead and test it. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm gonna throw the mages down and one shot, boom, boom, boom. And after a while, you can just look at a defense and just tell if it's set up properly or if it's not set up properly. It'll just be kind of real easy. You don't have to do the test if you already know. But some people are new to GVG. Some people don't know, and they have to either get familiar with it. So I would just recommend do the test. You can screen record it and then send it in like a Discord or something to your friends or your guildmates. But I just wish, War, they just need to let us at least see the last 5 GVG friendly face-offs that were fought, man. Come on, help us out, War, right?
Butcher of realms,
so made easy. Let's take a look at some more defenses so that we can look at. Quick glance. He has a healer, 2 ground units, DPS units. It's a dirty pass, only because I'm kind of concerned about free wins with like flyers, but looking at his level, it's okay. It'll do. He has the proper units, proper positioning though. This one, it looks correct, but I see a positioning issue. And that's going to be Brokir just needs to be moved up more. This is more of an advanced sighting. You probably won't notice it right away, like if you're new to GVG, but I already know because Brokir, his tank is too far back, and Ajax can easily get picked off by the Garnet guards. And then also mages, if they come through, they're just going to kill Maul because he's too close to his crowd control unit, his tank. So once we kill Maul, and then once we kill Ajax, we're just going to walk through. Easy peasy, right? But those are the things that you need to look out for when you're helping your guildmates set up their defense, so that way you can let them know. Because this team has all the necessary components. Units, you get a pass. With the way Brokir's going right now, man, he can hold the whole goddamn line. So his tank is set up amazingly. Is this an easy win? As in, can one unit walk through this defense? No, it's not. So he gets another pass. But positioning, we would get a fail in positioning. So we checked 2 of those boxes, but he's missing 1 box, which is the positioning box, and that's what lets us get this kind of easy win. So then we would just let him know, like in the chat, hey, just move Brokir up, and that will significantly help this team's defense. Just moving Brokir up 1 tile. All right, so now let's take a look at his second team. See how that's positioned? This is a positioning issue also, right? So he does have like the proper units. We're gonna go in. He has a healer. He has a DPS unit. He has a tank, another ground fighter. But you might already be able to tell, put the tank in front of Sun Wukong. That way he has more protection. Sun Wukong does have a lot of HP, but unless he's built as a tank, he's not gonna really stay alive long enough. And then also a positioning issue, you send mages in, we just wipe out Variana, right? So they're too close together. So let's run through the checklist. Positions. Position is not correct, so you get a fail. Do you have the right type of units? Yes, technically he does have, proper units. And then is it an easy win? Can one unit just walk through? That kind of falls into the positioning issue, and kind of yes. We did just waltz on through his defense, and I do think if I just would have sent flyers over, if I baited out Hex's ult, Hex won't be able to stop all the flyers by himself, and he doesn't have another unit to take care of him. Another thing to keep in mind is you do want some kind of AoE capacity. Viarna, she does have some AoE because she can like soul snipe everybody or like eliminate everyone, but she's not in the correct position to help, right? You send mages in and just one shot her. She's not able to do anything. So let's take a look at a keep, a central keep, see how that's kind of set up and see what's a good positioning, what's good units. So right here, we have a healer, 1 ground unit, but he also has a lot of other units working with him, right? So we have Pelagios up there for AoE and crowd control, and then you have Silas and Iovar as your DPS units. It's a fine team. And no one's just gonna walk through it 1 unit or just fly over. So he gets a pass on all 3 boxes: positioning, units, and is it just set up in a way where no one can just kind of fly right over you. So take a look right here. This is kind of another example. It could be a positioning issue because I do see Viarna up here. She's not really assisting, but she's also out of harm's way. He does have a healer. He does have DPS, 2 ground units. So both of his teams look okay. They look right. Good enough for GVG because you don't want to just be giving away free wins, right? Don't give anything away for free, and we're just trying to mitigate how much HP we're losing. Take a look at a couple other teams. All right, so go through the checklist real quick. Do we have positionings? Positionings look good. Proper units? Yes and no. The main issue here is light lock. Just put another DPS unit here. Vortex is the healer that you need, I guess, for this team comp. That's what he wants to do. Is it a free win? No. So he does have one out of the check boxes that we need to work on. Take a look at his second team. So go through the checklist. Proper units? No. No healer. Proper positioning? No, because they're too close together. And then one spaced out far enough, it'll just be easy run over. You don't have anybody that can actually do significant damage to air units, so I could just send one air plat in and just fly right over it. Let's go over a couple more examples. All right, checkbox time. Proper units? I don't see a tank, so that's a no. Positioning. I do see Soul Cadence. He's kind of like just snipeable, so no, not necessarily. But is it an easy win? I think mages might actually just take all that out. Damn, we didn't hit no box. All right, looking at the second team, we'll do a test and I'll show you kind of what I mean. Like, this is where a team can just fly right over you. So does he have the proper units? Not really, because he doesn't have anybody to really handle air units. He has all ground fighters. Mari, she isn't a DPS, she's just a crowd control unit. So anybody's just going to be able to fly right over this team. So we'll go through the checklist real quick. Proper units, no. Positioning, no, I wouldn't do it. Not with this team lineup, but this could be a good positioning depending on what units you're using. And then is it an easy win? Yes. So he's missing 2 of those checkboxes. So this is something that I would let him know. Hey, maybe we can look at different units and set up a different GVG set for you. And, you know, if you're unsure, if you just want to be like, well, let me just double check to make sure he doesn't have his units set up in a way that Mari's like killing air units somehow. But so we'll just do the basic test. We'll send one group of flyers, and what do you know? Mari's not able to kill him off, and none of his ground units can hit any of the flyers, so easy win. So, yep, follow those check boxes that I was talking about. Proper units, positioning, is it an easy win? Can one unit just kind of fly right over or walk through your defense? If you're missing any of those, then that's something that you can easily fix, easily work on. It could just be a position change. So these are the critical things, at least for the basics of GVG, like just to get your guild up and running. These are the things you're going to want to look out for. All right, let's look at a couple of quick examples real quick. This team looks good. DPS, healer, ground units. Awesome. And AoE damage, healer, 2 ground units, DPS, positions look good. So he gets a pass on all 3 check boxes. So we can just move on to the next. So this is just looking at this team right here. I would probably move Twin Fiend, but everything else looks okay. It's good enough for GVG, at least when you're first starting out. You know what I mean? We're just making sure everybody's set up. We don't want to give away free wins. He has the correct position. He has the proper units. Not a free win. Good. Moving on to the second team. 2 ground units, healer, AoE, DPS. Looks good. He has the proper units, proper positions, not a free win. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. Do a couple more examples and then we'll wrap it up. This is just a checklist for you that I use. What I'm running through has like a vice leader. When I'm looking at people's defenses, I'm helping them set up. So if you guys can do this, then that's awesome. All right, this is the last example since he has everything, but he has 3 ground units, but we have Arrogance for AoE, Lily for healing, Silas for DPS. Looks good. Proper units, proper placement. Over here, same thing. We got healer, ground units, DPS. Looks good. All right. So that meets my stamp of approval. He has checked all the check boxes, and we're not giving away free wins, even on his keep settings. All right. DPS, ground units, healer. Looks good, right? Healer, AoE, ground units. Awesome. Those are good teams. Those are the teams that I want to see in my GVG lineups, especially when we just don't want to give away free wins. That's the main thing about doing the whole checklist, making sure you're ready to dominate in GVG. All right, look again. Everything looks good. We got healer, ground units, DPS, healer, ground units, crowd control, DPS. Awesome. We're looking great. So this doesn't all have to be done at once, right? Guild Wars goes on forever. you guys can just go through week by week and slowly get your teams to change. Like this is a bad team. He's had this team for a long time, but I'll let him know again this week, and hopefully one day he'll change it. That'd be awesome, right? So what I'm giving you is a checklist that you can go through a little bit week by week, and then some people will change it, some people won't. It might take people a month to change their GVG lineup, but eventually, once they see your message and they're like, oh wow, all I gotta do is move my units around. If that's what they want me to do, fine, I'll do it. And then once they do it, at least it'll be set up to where it is not giving away them losses in GVG just because no one wants to go in and change their units once, or they just don't know how to set their units up. So if we can just get this checklist done, follow it, and we'll be good to go. So to summarize, go through my checklist one more time. There's only 3 steps, and I try to make it as easy as possible. So first on the checklist, number 1, do they have the proper units? And this is at least 1 tank and a healer and a DPS unit. And then the other 2 units, you can look for either another fighter or like another DPS unit or a crowd control unit, AoE damage unit. So the second box on the checklist that you're looking out for is positioning. So this means, are units spaced out far apart? Are they too clunky together? So if they're too far apart, they can't help each other. And if they're too close together, they all get one-shotted by mages, or maybe they can just get one-shotted by archers before they even get to your tank. And then third, on the GVG checklist, are you giving away free wins just because, like, maybe I can send 1 flyer and you have all ground units and no one to hit the flyer? So that's an easy win. Or do you have all DPS units out and I just have 2 dogs, I bait your ult, and 2 dogs run through, you have no tank. So this is giving away free wins. And that's what you don't want to do. You want to mitigate your losses and at least have your guild stand a chance. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this GVG checklist episode, and hopefully there is more to come. Check out Omnica's Forge, and if you guys want something done for you specifically, let me know in any of the Forge videos. Drop a comment, give me a like. Omnica out.